Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 80, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and of course, I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How is it going, bud?
Yeah, not too bad. Had a busy few days, as I was telling you before. But nothing that we can't handle. How about yourself, mate? How are you?
Yes, I thought you were going to use that as your opportunity to rant politics, but I'm sure you'll find your chance.
I'm trying to bite my tongue because I know that you don't really want me to get into it, but I think that's one we do need to speak about.
Well, I want you to rant, and it's really important to me that you rant because this is a rage-based podcast, and
Yes, it is.
You've had some good rages over the last couple of weeks, so I thought I would tell you a wee story. Yesterday, I stayed around my girlfriend's house. So I had a lovely evening with Melissa, and it was yeah, big bid. And Melissa made me dinner. Now, Melissa, bless her wee heart, is a vegetarian. So she made me a delicious dinner because she's a great cook, like a ridiculously good cook. I was aroused by how well she handles herself in the kitchen. And she made me a lovely mushroom and white wine pasta. And it was absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Except for one thing.
Exactly, right? And while eating it, because she talks about you a fair amount, actually, because for some reason she watches this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, she thinks
cute.
we're quite entertaining.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Hi, Melissa.
I said, well, funny, because Mike absolutely fucking hates mushrooms. And she said, he doesn't hate mushrooms, he just hasn't had them cooked right. And I said, how wrong you are. Allow me to go and talk to Mike tomorrow and I'll get him to tell you all about mushrooms. So Mike, take it away. What do you feel about mushrooms?
There is no correct way to cook mould. I will not put spores of anything in my mouth. End of. Mushrooms are the worst. And I know this is probably going to sour a good friendship between myself and Melissa before it's even started. And I promise, if you're willing to give me a chance, I'm willing to give you a chance. We're not all perfect. I'm from your mains after all. I'm going to get doxxed and I'll give away my fucking home address or my hometown. But I'm sure we can see past it, but mushrooms are like the no-no list. They're just, nah, it's not happening.
Satan's vegetable.
Revolting. Absolutely revolting. I mean, I've came around eating olives. I used to hate olives, but see, like the small kind of sweet the sweet peppers inside them, or in like garlic or chili oil. All right, fair enough. I'll play that game. If it's an antipasti and it's with meat and stuff, it's quite nice that way. But there's no excuse for mushrooms. There's none.
So I have to ask, is it because some people might say that a mushroom looks like a bell end?
No, because I don't think I'd have a problem with a bell end in my mouth.
Okay.
If I was attracted to a guy enough and I felt like I was going to be exploring my sexuality, then, well, why run?
Fair play. Okay. Well, I didn't know that, and there are a whole host of things in the world that I didn't know. One of those things that you might not know is... This show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. If you want to see something beautiful, head on over to Ormsby's Instagram page right now and see what they are all about. Ormsby Guitars have been at the cutting edge of guitar design innovation since Perry started the company way back in 2003. Since then, the brand has gone on to be one of the number one brands associated with Australia and modern guitar design. Aside from having one of the most ridiculous custom shops in the market today and a dedicated team that can essentially build you anything that your heart desires, more recently the brand has gained critical acclaim for their runs of custom order guitars manufactured in Korea, shipped to Australia and then sent out through their distributor network. These guitars include incredible designs such as the Hype and the Goliath. If you head on over to Ormsby's website right now and check out the pre-order section, you can pre-order a Goliath Run 14 guitar now for under $1,200. That's an incredible price and an amazing amount of guitar for your money. So, as always, a huge thank you to our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. You guys absolutely rock. As I said in that little ad roll, please do go and give them a follow on Instagram. And consider checking out their latest runs of guitars because you may find something that you enjoy. Cool guitars, cool prices. More importantly, cool people. On to some less cool people.
Yeah, it seems to be that like we've got like 5 topics that we somehow have to constantly get back to.
Yeah.
And it's not because we want to, and it's not because we're seeking it out, but it just seems to be that there are repeated issues with certain brands and certain people.
But I like this one, right? Because for the entire time we've been talking about this particular story, I have constantly said that this is what the person in question needs to do. So why it's taken 2 years to finally do this, I have no idea. In fact, I did give you this advice years ago. This is what you should have done from day fucking dot. I don't know why you haven't done it. So the title of this story is Abasi Concepts unveils its most affordable Lorada models yet. It's amazing they've unveiled their most affordable Lorada models yet, despite the fact that for the best part of 4 fucking years, or however long it's been now, they've not been able to put Lorada guitars in anyone's fucking hands anyway. So, like, why would you add additional levels of stress of another way that you can get Loradas? And the answer to that is very simple, because this is a reliable way to get Loradas, because you're not having Frank Falbo make them, and you're not having fucking all the other hosts of luthiers come in to make these guitars for you. You are just manufacturing them in the Far East, cheap and cheerful, the same way Ola England does it, the same way Rob Chapman does it, the same way even the imported Ormsbys do it. That's a sensible way to do it. It is proven. It is a proven method of manufacturing good, high quality guitars in this day and age. Don't know about these because these are ridiculously fucking expensive. But Mike, take it away.
Can I be pedantic for a second?
Sure.
For what I understand, these guitars are built in South Korea. I don't think that counts as the Far East, does it?
I mean,
my geography's terrible, so it's a genuine question.
Yeah, that's very definitely the Far East, yeah.
Okay, cool, that's fine.
Someone might go, well, technically, Levi.
Everything else you're right on it, and I knew it was, but it's just one of those ones I'm like, my geography's terrible, but I just better double check. Sorry, this light's reflecting off the back of my monitor and make me look really like I'm in stars in their eyes and there's fucking a smoke machine in my living room. Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be just as terrible as usual. Sorry. Anyway. Abasi Concepts unveils its most affordable Lorada models yet. So this was 7 days ago, this was released. So Tosin Abasi's new Legion 7 and 8 strings feature Fishman Fluence Abasi pickups and start at $1,799. Which, wait a minute, because it might seem like a stonking amount of money, but there's probably guitars, I think even the Ormsbys retail at about that in American dollars.
No, they're much lower than that. Yeah, a few $100s lower than that.
Are you sure? Maybe I'm tripping. Like, it's been a while since I've looked, certainly in the American pricing.
Yeah, because they advertise their prices in Australian dollars. I read it out in the ad. I think it's about $1,300 US dollars, $1,200, $1,300 you can get like the 6-string models for. So, and those aren't just manufactured then shipped out. Those are going to Australia or to like a service point, if you like. To make sure that the standard is up there. And from what I've seen on various groups on Facebook, people are already doing the up-close shots of these guitars, the ones that they're using for promotional photos, and pointing out that there are some pretty obvious imperfections in them. So, but carry on.
You're going deep for this this is actually what we wanted. Abasi Concepts, the guitar company headed by Animals' leaders guitar genius, Tosin Abasi, has unveiled the new Lorada Legion electric guitar range, a more affordable version of the brand's Lorada design. The new models boast basswood bodies, wenge necks, or is it wenge?
Most people, yeah, I'm not sure, but I hear wenge a lot, so.
Yeah, I heard it recently and I was like, I've been saying wenge, but okay. Ebony fingerboards and Fishman Fluence Tosin Abasi pickups. There are also compound radius fingerboards, multi-scale fan frets, graphite nuts, and Abasi Concept locking tuners. The 7 and 8 string Legions come in charcoal burl with a poplar burl veneer top, as well as limited blue sage, overcast, and aquaburst, also with poplar burl veneer top finishes. The Lorada 7 charcoal burl is available for $1,799, while the Lorada 8 charcoal burl is $1,899. All 7 and 8 string limited colours are offered for $1,999, and all guitars come with a case.
That's, of course, published on Guitar World, so that will have just come from a press release that was sent to them. And you'll notice that nowhere in the press release are they pointing out that these guitars aren't made in the USA.
Well, they don't need to. It doesn't say they're made in the USA.
No, yeah, but it's a brand that for years that people have been aware of or heard of. They're always talking about these USA-built guitars. Oh, we're changing our factory. This guy's making them out, etc., etc., etc. Then all of a sudden, hey guys, we've got some new ones, and these ones are much cheaper. Like, I'm not saying that they're trying to mislead people, but it seems like an obvious that, like, when you're going to talk about the price and things like that, it just seems so obvious to me that you would say these guitars are manufactured in South Korea.
I'm just going through the actual Abasi website, and even on their pages it doesn't say anything about that. It's just not mentioned, but well. I'd quite like to try one.
Sure.
Not going to lie.
Yeah.
I find the body shape really interesting, but I don't know if that's because I really fucking hate it or if I really like it.
Sure.
Do you know, it looks to me like one of those really weird basses that used to come out like a WAL or something along those lines. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Something really unique. Or even the Ore, the bass that the guy for Alien Ant Farm played.
Yep.
You know, for the first album, Anthology. That kind of single cutaway crazy bass, really high range access. Yeah. I don't know if I would like it or not. And one thing that I can't see from this, and I don't know if you'll be able to find a photo of it, see if you look at the 7-string headstock, the break angles are fucking weird to the point where the 4th string, as in the middle string, nearly touches the other tuner.
Yeah.
You see it?
Sure.
The 8 string's really well balanced. It looks great. I like the shape, despite it clearly being Agile / ESP rip. Yeah. Maybe even Ken Livingston. A bit like a Hetfield's Explorer.
Oh yeah, okay.
The custom.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
But that 7-string headstock with the weird angles, I'm not aesthetically, that puts me off, and that's just such a pedantic thing, but it does.
I think it's okay to be pedantic when you're charging the best part. Well, not even the best part of $2,000 for the custom finish ones. So you for that sort of price, you need to be delivering the best of the best. And I want to look at that and say that's just a bad photo, but because I can't imagine anyone would have done that and gone, yeah, we've got that right. I hate the way that 7-string headstock looks actually, because of the spread between the strings. The 3 strings on the bottom are so far spread apart, and then the 4 are much closer together. Like, what's...
Find photos and zoom in the headstock of the 7-string. This is not me being an asshole or being pedantic. I saw photos of this before we were talking about this today, and I was like, wow, that's not good. In fact, here you go. Right, I'll send you this link.
Sure.
And you can have a look. You can bring it up on screen if you want to, or
other
people who want to go have a look. If you go to the Abasi Concepts website, go into the Lorada 7 Legion Overcast. It's the only one that's available of the 7 strings to buy at the moment. Everything else is sold out. But if you look at that, also, I'm not really big in the hands style individual saddles, but that's just me again being a pedantic bastard.
Yeah, you're totally right. It does really look like that string is almost coming into proximity of touching the
break angle on it is probably right, but it looks mental compared to every other string.
Yeah.
If they were all somehow, and I don't want to say fanned, but if they all had like a displacement on the headstock, it'd be fine.
Yep.
But that to me that would do my tits in infinitely. Which is a shame, because see, otherwise I think it's quite a cool guitar.
Yeah. Well done, Tosin. We're glad that you finally took the advice and have decided to do the smart business thing, which is to do it like this. I think the prices are probably still a bit high. I think that you're absolutely trying to capitalize on your name and your brand. And of course, as a business, you absolutely have to do that. But also your track record now for manufacturing and delivering guitars to people hasn't been great. So the idea that your name and brand holds value, like it did, say, 5 years ago, whenever you left Ibanez, is a bit absurd to me. Like, it just doesn't. And even though I'm seeing people getting these in their hands already, for me, if I was interested in one of these, I'd certainly be thinking twice, not changing my mind, but I'd definitely be really having a careful consideration as to whether or not I want to spend $2,000 on something until I'd seen these things out in the wild. So, yeah.
I think Drusus Stalin's got one.
Yes.
I'm sure he gets hands on one.
Yes.
Anyway,
cool.
Let's move on.
Dream Theater. Because why not move on to another ridiculous story?
Yep, yet more shameless capitalism. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, when you think of John Petrucci, what do you think of? Shredder, riffs,
guitar, the band Dream Theater, his new solo album, Ernie Ball Music Man, obviously, but it's going to pop into
all these
mind.
things, right?
Yep.
The Petrucci amps, the Mesa Boogies.
Yep.
And then you think, oh, it looks a bit like Jesus.
Yeah, muscly Jesus, yeah.
Muscly Jesus, hence Jesus, right? So hence Jesus, John Petrucci, has announced that Nebula, his first ever signature range of specialty beard and mustache products, created in collaboration with the grooming company Captain Fawcett, is now available to order. And I'm just putting that out there that if you really, really want to order some facial products for your beard from John Petrucci, you can. They're out there and they're available.
Yeah, because of course John Petrucci is a man that for the last 10 years of his career has constantly been talking about how serious he takes his beard care. Like every interview, I can't think of a single interview where it hasn't come up, where he's talked about, and guys, I know you're often asking the questions of how do I get my beard looking so fantastic? And with respect, in the image that they're using in the promo shots, I wouldn't describe it as fantastic. And I know that's ironic coming from me of all people today with this scruff. And I find more and more grey in this every day, which is a horrifying experience.
How are you going to be salt and pepper? You'll suit it, man. You'll be handsome.
I'm not salt and pepper though, because there's no black. it's just blonde and grey.
Right, you'll be
white pepper and salt.
Garlic salt. That's what you'll be. So be slightly yellow.
Garlic,
anyway,
salt, and salt. Fantastic.
So the quote in this is just fucking. I think it's like Petrucci not just coming out and trying to find a way of not just coming out and saying, "This company offered me money and I'm doing this because it's making me money."
Yeah.
Right. So in a recent interview with Japan's Young Guitar, Petrucci was asked about his beard styling and grooming techniques. No, he wasn't. He absolutely wasn't. Let's just be honest, right?
Well, he may have been, but he may have been prefaced. Sorry, that question may have been prefaced by him and his team saying, "Could you please ask me about my beard?"
That's it, right? So there's some things that we have to talk about and things that you can't talk about. I don't want to talk about anything about to do with Dream Theater. Not to do with it. I don't want to speak about Portnoy, but I do want to speak about having a beard.
Yeah.
And I want 1,000 brown M&Ms. Anyway. Apparently each 50ml bottle gets you a limited edition Nebula guitar flow pick designed and created by Petrucci in collaboration with Jim Dunlop. So even more reason to order that fucking beard oil. So anyway,
a little purple bit of plastic.
To his question, he responded, "I, for most of my career, have had some sort of beard. I started out just clean shaven in the beginning, but even, I guess, from the Awake days, which was pretty early on, I had a beard. I had a goatee. It wasn't until... I don't know how many years now. I've got the full kind of epic beard and moustache style. It's been many years now, but I've always been into that kind of thing, how it influences your look. And I just kind of fell into this thing where having a big old school beard I thought looked good on me. And I got really into the lifestyle and the bearding culture, all the products and things like that, beard oils and bums. Learning to trim your beard, experiment with different shapes. It's actually a fun hobby, honestly. I'm not going to read any more than this. Fucking shut up.
So I don't want you to click and see how much this product costs. I have it up. I know how much it costs, right? So for the John Petrucci Nebula Beard Oil 50ml, this gets you the beard oil and the pick. You can purchase a 10ml bottle, but yeah, the 50ml is obviously the one that they want to go for, and these are limited. The first 1,000 purchases of this beard oil come with the guitar pick. So if you happen to be the first 1,000, you'll get a wee guitar pick with it.
See, that's the better be changing this fucking story in Blabbermouth thing, because it says each 50ml Nebula beard oil will include a limited edition Nebula guitar flow pick. Not that they're limited in terms of how many you can get.
Yeah.
Anyway,
how much do you think you would be looking to pay
ml
for 50ml of John Petrucci's beard oil?
So I'd assume he blesses it like it's holy water.
Well, you would hope so.
In a vat.
Yeah.
Before they bottle it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Del Boy style.
So $69,420.
A little bit high. £36, which is probably about what, $50?
I was going to say $25, and I thought that was extortionate.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah, about $50.
John Petrucci, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I sound like the Iron Sheik.
That's, triple the price of what I'm paying for beard oil. Like, come on. Come on now. And, is the oil itself purple? Or I think it's just the bottom of the bottle is kind of stained purple. Anyway, it's ridiculous that we've devoted even more than 10 seconds to this story, but I wanted to give it its full kind of this is outrageous attention that it deserved, because...
That's just
I'm never going to be out and out anti-capitalist on the podcast. I'm glad that John Petrucci's got a way of making money, because it must be hard for someone like John Petrucci to make money. But come on now.
I was going to say, you play the cards you're dealt. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has to be a participant in, well, not everybody, but everybody in the Western world, and capitalism to some degree. But beard oil.
There are just so many products that, like, if I had the opportunity to put my name on, I'd have no interest in. And I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast is in the exact same vein, right? I've been offered products with my name on that would you would think would be relevant to what I do, like a signature V-pick. but I'm not interested because the idea of selling a pick to someone seems ridiculous to me. Why not just go and buy the one I actually use, which is the medium pointed? You know, I don't need one with my name on that costs more. Just this is the one I use type thing. A Levi Clay signature condom. No, thank you. I've not been offered that. I should be clear. Just come up with like all these ridiculous products that could exist. Mike, if somebody offered you your own brand of signature kitchen roll, I would like to think you would go, why would I try and sell this to people that are interested in what I do? John,
of course I would.
You've got like 15 fucking signature guitars. You've got signature amps. Like you're talking about. We were already laughing at you in just an episode ago because you're bringing out an 8-string guitar, despite the fact you never even fucking played one.
And you said that yourself. He's also got signature pedals.
Yeah.
So don't forget that, and plectrums, and probably cables.
Plectrums. Yeah.
Like fucking Vi. Anyway, I was going to say kitchen roll. I wouldn't endorse that, man. But a fork, because I use one every day. So if I had a signature fork, it'd be all right.
Signature.
You know what I mean? I would shell that. Think about it, right? I could just do it fucking Petrucci done. Like, I mean, ever since I've been into music, I've used a fork. And it started off where I'm not good with chopsticks. I find them quite redundant. I'm not good with a knife. Spoons, hit and miss, but a fork, you know what I mean? You've got the best of both worlds. You can cut things with the side of it. You can get your food on there. And I'm getting quite good at it. I've been practicing for nearly 31 years. So buy my signature fork. It comes with 5, that's right, 5 spikes. Not 4 like your standard fork. 5. So and that's what makes it better.
I can't help but notice that you could improve upon the design and have a 3-in-1 fork that was a spork, so you could use it for your spoon, use it to pick up soup if needed. But you also pointed out that you can cut things with the side of your fork. What if it had a serrated edge on the side of it?
You already get them, and most of the time they are disposable.
Right, okay.
Like the spork with a serrated side.
Okay.
And
this one doesn't have to be, though. This could be a lifetime guarantee purchase. The Mike McLaughlin signature 3-in-1 fork spork knife.
Springer. I'll need to come up with a word that's somehow the 3 of them together.
No, that's not your problem. We'll just have the company that's clearly going to reach out to you and offer you that come up with
the Sporf. SPORFE. The Sporf.
Okay, the Mike McLaughlin.
Big Mike's Sporf. Anyway,
that sounds like a horrible, horrible euphemism for jizz.
You would say that, man.
I would. Sorry,
Take that mind out the gutter.
Disgusting human being. Let's move on to Fender.
Yes. Well, is it fair to segue with another disgusting human? Because he's not really done that much wrong recently.
Yeah, no.
Certainly Andy hasn't.
Generally
so
speaking, like I don't find Fender to be nearly as egregious as Gibson. So,
well, I mean, if he was the front man of the Fender Play adverts, maybe I would have more of an issue.
Yeah.
You get me?
Sure.
Same with it. What was the other one you were talking about? Guitar Tricks?
Guitar Tricks.
Hey, do you want to know why people don't play guitar after they start playing guitar? It's because they watch stupid videos on YouTube and they don't have any instructor. Yeah. That's why you should have a course of videos with no instructor.
Hey, have you ever wondered why all the great guitar players that you know that have come up over the last 20 years, not a single one of them has said, I learned to play on Guitar Tricks? That's because nobody's ever learned to play from Guitar Tricks.
It's just fucking those adverts, that advertising campaign riles me. Because there's one where I'm sure he must be like the owner, and you can tell he's shiting himself. He's like, wait, don't skip this ad. And it's just like, more than once I've wanted to punch through my monitor hoping it would hurt him. Yeah. Like a voodoo doll. Like, fucking shut up. So take that guitar off him and plank him out of the heat.
Well, I'm not Fender's biggest fan, actually, because they've still not sent me a Brent Mason telly. But Fender's CEO...
But you're not burning bridges yet.
Not yet. We'll see how
just
it goes.
Come on, Andy. Get the finger out. I know you watch this.
Fender CEO Andy Mooney reveals that he tried, and unsuccessfully tried, to buy David Gilmour's famed Strat, the 0001 serial number. I guess, I mean, it seemed relevant just because it's part of significant guitar culture. And although we talk a lot about metal on this show, of course, but I wanted to have the opportunity to talk about something that was specifically guitar-y. So, yeah, go on, do it.
I like it. It's fairly geeky. Our friends at Guitar World, this is for Guitar Player. Our friends at Guitar World recently sat down for an in-depth discussion with Fender CEO Andy Mooney, during which he denounced the notion that the guitar is dead, recalled business lessons from Steve Jobs, and shared many other insights gained over the course of his lengthy and impressive career. He also spoke about the vast guitar collection, revealing that he tried and failed to add David Gilmour's 0001 Strat when it was sold at auction at Christie's in New York last year. The same auction also saw the Pink Floyd legend's fabled Black Strat, which was used on Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, sell for a jaw-dropping $3.975 million.
Oh,
it's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
to be put in somebody's cupboard, if I remember correctly. Some fucking football team owner, wasn't it? The guitarist's 0001 Strat, however, is a rare white model from 1954 and is adorned with a gold anodized pickguard and gold hardware. It's actually pretty fucking pimping.
It's a cool guitar, yeah.
It is. I mean, I quite like a faded white Strat with a gold anodized or a copper plate, but that's just like mojo.
Yeah, that's like the perfect level of relicking on that guitar for me.
Yes, because it's real.
Yeah. Okay.
So, my holy grail was a Dave Gilmore Strat, Mooney said. I tried to convince David for many years to at least give me access to it so we could do some custom shop replicas, but he was never willing to do it.
But then he sold it.
Good on you, David. A bit for charity.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess that's true. But it would be easy to have replicas of this guitar made with with like a significant portion of proceeds going to charity.
Could be, yeah. Who knows why? Now I know why, looking at how much the guitar went for. I bid on it, actually. I played it at Christie's when they put it on a roadshow along with his black Strat, so at least I got to touch and play it. But sadly, that one will never make it into the collection. While the Fender Boss's bid was unsuccessful, the guitar did end up selling for an eye-watering $1.8 million.
And change, like 1.8 million plus an extra 15 grand on top of that.
Yeah. Sorry, I rounded.
At that sort of money, you get an extra 15 grand, you just don't worry, do you?
Pocket change.
Yeah, so
we know
it's totally a cool guitar, and the fact that he doesn't own it, I guess. I wonder how the business side of things would work. If he owned that guitar, how easy would it be for him to then make some sort of replica of it? Not selling it under the Dave Gilmore name, but just the 0001 Strat.
They wouldn't even need to put any marketing on it if they brought this guitar out for anybody that's into Pink Floyd, or even if it, like a wee tiny hint towards it, it would be like, all right, cool, I know exactly what that's meant to be.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
cool guitar.
Cool. Let's move on. Let's do this the David Crosby story. Jeez, this is a fun one. Let's continue talking about Eddie Van Halen because of course.
You can read this one. Okay. I'm kind of biting my tongue even just reading the fucking headline.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I wanted to run with this story because I don't even remember if I did this in depth on the last show, but I wanted to do the Eddie Van Halen versus Jimi Hendrix rant that I did on my Van Halen live stream that I did just recently because I want more people to see it. I think it's important that they see it. And David Crosby is a great example of what I'm talking about when I talk about this. So David Crosby on Eddie Van Halen, meh. In a touching, and I don't really like the emotion that's been thrown into this article. It's like they're trying to steer your opinion.
It's shitty and subjective and
yeah, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the next story.
This is Metal Sucks.
Yeah, so in a touching display of sensitivity and intelligence, sure to endear him to every Van Halen fan across the globe, David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash has declared Eddie Van Halen, who died from cancer last week at the age of 65, to be, and quote, meh. No, seriously, screen cap here, in case it gets taken down. So a fan of David Crosby tweeted at him on Twitter and said, I know you're not into metal, David, but what's your opinion on Eddie Van Halen? And David just responded with, meh. Now, I have to say, that doesn't offend me in the slightest. You know what I mean? Like, he's entitled to his opinion. Like, the guy hasn't said, how important do you think Eddie Van Halen was to electric guitar, etc. At this stage, David has just expressed his opinion. This is a guy that is on the kind of, I want to go folk. That's the term I want to use. Like, that's his scene. And I can totally see why to someone like that, Eddie Van Halen, yeah, sure, meh. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of great musicians that we would all share the meh opinion of. For me, Eddie Van Halen wouldn't be one of those guys. A lot of Van Halen fans were obviously upset by this. So Alex Skolnick tweeted back, I appreciate David Crosby too much for this to get it into the way, but a much better answer would have been, I know he meant a lot to so many, but his sound and style just weren't my thing. Sure, he could have said that, but that wasn't what he wanted to say. He expressed himself in the way that he felt was necessary. Tracy Guns also tweeted, wrong answer and wrong answer as fuck and rude as fuck. There are better ways to say that you don't care for someone's music. That was very disrespectful, and yes, straight out fuck you and your smug answer. Like, I just don't see why people get this emotional about it.
Yep, I like Skolnick's reply because I think he's trying to be the middle ground and just be like, people are getting this the wrong way, but at the same time, I can see why people are getting it or taking it the wrong way because just saying meh to somebody that's fairly insensitive at the timing, in my mind.
Yeah, and
Just like, not in poor taste, not out of badness, not malicious, just maybe not thought out very well.
Well, it's worth considering that in a later tweet, he retracted his statement and said, look, to be completely honest, when I made that statement, the fact that Eddie Van Halen had died wasn't something that was on my radar. So it wasn't made knowing, oh, well, he's just died, so meh. Maybe if that tweet had said, hey, seeing as Eddie Van Halen has just died, what's your opinion on the man? He might have, I imagine he probably would have worded himself a little bit better. But I want to give his kind of follow-ups, and I feel he does shoot himself in the foot a little bit here. So one person says, wow, that was rude, unkind, and totally lacking empathy. David Crosby comes back and says, sorry, just meant that he doesn't move me much, which again, totally fair opinion. You're allowed to say that. But then here's the 100%. One that bugged me, right? So he comes back with, Hendrix changed the world of guitar. And I've just closed the story. There we go. Hendrix changed the world of guitar. Nobody else really. Look, I get it. Many of you loved Van Halen. And the one time I met him, he was nice and he was talented. Meh to me means that I don't care that much. And I don't. It doesn't mean that he wasn't good. It just wasn't for me. And I have to take such issue with this. Hendrix changed the world of guitar, nobody else really. That's just simply not true. And I would confidently argue that Eddie Van Halen changed the world of guitar significantly more than Hendrix did. Hendrix's impact on the world of guitar was nowhere near as impactful as his influence on culture. His influence on culture was massive. But after Hendrix, everybody that picked up the guitar wasn't trying to be Jimi Hendrix. But when Van Halen released Van Halen 1 in 1978, there are so many things on that every single person that came after that for a long time were just trying to be and one-up Eddie Van Halen. The popularization of the Floyd Rose. Everyone had to have a Floyd Rose after 1978 because that's what Eddie was doing. Like, he's one of the first guys to be doing that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he invented tapping. He absolutely didn't invent tapping, but he vastly popularized the idea of tapping and the application of tapping. And people, again, would just want to take that to the next level. Talking about like lighter string gauges and the way his amps were getting the sounds they were. I'm not necessarily saying that he invented all of those things, but he was the guy that put all of that stuff on the map in the same way that Eric Clapton did the same thing with the Beano album. Like, he impacted the sound of guitar and culture. Hendrix was massively important, absolutely, no doubt about that. But to downplay Van Halen's influence on guitar or impact on guitar, you can do that for one of two reasons. One, you're ignorant, or two, you're ignorant and you don't want to admit that you're ignorant. So David would say something like that because he's ignorant enough to go, well, it doesn't interest me, therefore the impact that it had on all these other people is insignificant. It doesn't, the amount of change that he brought to the table isn't relevant. And it's just so is. Eddie was so unbelievably influential, and it doesn't matter if you didn't like what he did. And you could even look at him and say, sure, he totally changed the scene of guitar, totally changed the guitar world forevermore. And I don't like the changes he made. But that last little part, the I don't like the changes he made, doesn't negate the fact that he totally changed the fucking game. And I would argue that Hendrix didn't do that in the same way Eddie did.
Well, come at me. No, I agree with you, right? But I'm only in the corner for you. I could come at you. Anyway, maybe there's a third thing here. Maybe it's because you need to bear in mind that David Crosby's 79.
Yes.
Like, he is a good age, so he would have seen both those artists in their prime, certainly in the sense of feeling the effect of it through the music industry, as well as you're talking about, the changes in culture that surround that. Maybe he's just... The time that Hendrix blew up was a right time in his life where he noticed the changes and had the big influence, and maybe he was just a bit past that in terms of more into his own niche of folk and stuff when Van Halen came up and inspired every shredder on the planet. Yeah. And I seen this the other day, and it was actually a really good comment. Lyle talking about, why does nobody ever talk about Eddie's rhythm playing? Yeah. Like, probably one of the best, if not the best rhythm players on the planet, and all he gets remembered for his crazy solos. Yeah, and that's because of his influence that everybody that came after Eddie wanted to one-up Eddie in one way, shape or form. And you get the arms race that came after 1978 and the whole shrapnel thing. It was everybody just trying to one-up each other, doing the thing that Eddie had done. And because of that, we look back on
kind of Eddie lit that fuse, if you like. So we look back on this arms race that happened and we go, okay, well, Eddie must have just been about technical playing. But you're absolutely right. He simply wasn't. I just did the Van Halen 2 listening party. It's a great record. Can't wait to sit and transcribe it for a guy over the next week or so.
Nice.
That's going to be a super fun project. But yeah, like there's a few cool solos on the album, but that's not what Eddie was about. When you listen to him playing, he was a flashy guitar player, but it was as part of his rhythm style, which was what was so cool. He'd just be playing these rhythm things, and then mid-verse he'd just slip effortlessly into a lick and then straight back into his rhythm parts. And you could just tell that none of this stuff was composed. It was so off the cuff, and he could just so fluently integrate these, the whammy bar stuff and all these sounds that, again, I just want to say fluently, was just integrated as part of who he was when he played. And I don't think that anybody's done it as convincingly as Eddie did. I think that's why he was one of the greatest. I think that's why he was so influential compared to guys like Randy Rhoads, who were on the scene around the same time. They were both Quiet Riot and Van Halen were in that Hollywood scene around that time. And everybody would, in the late 70s, early 80s, it would be, are you an Eddie guy or are you a Randy guy? But Randy didn't impact the scene nowhere near as much as Van Halen. And Randy's one of my favourite players ever. But Eddie's...
I don't think Randy had enough time to make his influence any bigger, which might not have helped. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Eddie's the king. So.
Yeah, I mean, he is. There's not really any arguing to it, is there? And you know what? See, you talking about that, like being able to just go effortlessly into playing a lick that's just off the top of his head and straight back into the rhythm stuff.
Yeah.
I consider that as being like, in my mind, the only term I really use when I'm describing these things is somebody that's playful with their playing. And there's a few people, not many, but there's a few people I've seen do it and really do it well. And I really like your distinction there as well, saying that there's not really anything else that you see that does it, that it's quite as natural and fluent and effortless. Because you're right, there's a lot of guys who are unbelievably practiced that can just pull things off the cuff, but it's because they've practiced it like 100 times.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about Eddie was nothing was perfect.
Yeah.
In my mind, like you heard string noise, you heard the amp buzzing, you heard like any number of things.
Yeah.
But it didn't detract at all from the fact he was playing some cool as fuck shit.
And the mammoth-sized testicles on this guy, right? The thing I really love about Eddie is, even though the double track guitar thing was, of course, it was a thing then. Everyone was double tracking stuff, right? Eddie just had the balls to be like, no, it's going to be just the one guitar. It's going to be super loud. And when it comes to my guitar solos, the rhythm guitar is just going to disappear. It's just going to be me flying over the top of the bass guitar, right? I've got nothing to hide behind, just my guitar out there for everyone to see and hear, warts and all. And there are very few warts. They do exist in there, but the confidence that comes with that. And that we've both been that guy sat recording guitar, right? Especially you with the party cannon stuff, which is like very composed and ridiculously technical. Like you're recording that stuff and it's like, I've got this thing, and like, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to execute the thing.
Performance anxiety.
You know that when Eddie was doing that, you just know. You don't have to even look into it. You know he will have been doing it all with a smile on his face.
Oh, aye. But you know what I think the difference is, right? And this is something I've personally experienced. When you're sitting at a mixing desk and you've got nice monitors and you've got everything, like your amps in another room and it's all mic'd and the sound's great and you're playing to the click and the drums, you can sometimes get it really good and you get a good lock in. But see if you're standing in the room with the amp and it's cranked, different ball game.
Yeah.
Love that shit, man. Like when we recorded in Germany with Jorg at a Sound Lodge in Rauderfen, he had the amplifiers in the control room, but the cabs were in the live room.
Yep.
So we could crank it like fucking you could still fuck with the amp outside of the room. So a couple of times I was like, this is loud as fuck. And then you're in the kind of control room and it's like the best of both.
Yeah.
I can fuck with the amp and I can hear it really well.
Yeah.
That was a good blend. I like that.
Yeah, that's the dream scenario. And to do that with a smile on your face, again, Eddie, a king.
I don't think I've ever smiled playing Party Can and stuff, but we'll leave that.
Well, I don't think I've ever smiled listening to Party Can and stuff. So
we're in good company then. No, that's not true. I do smile quite a lot. I have a lot of fun playing it because it's mental. Like it is mental, and I think the great thing about it for me as part of the band is that none of us are like super perfectionists. It doesn't have to be completely methodical and surgical and clean cut, sterile. It's human. It's natural. Mistakes are there.
Yep.
We all vary slightly, but I think that adds to the general vibe in my mind.
Should we move on to the main story today?
Yes, we shall, because I've not even read this yet.
Well, so the thing I've sent you is the right of reply thing. We're gonna I didn't feel I needed to send the main story there because we know this one and we'll talk about this at length. But we're going to preface this by saying I woke up the other day really happy for my friend Andy James, really happy to see an announcement that he is now an official member of Five Finger Death Punch. Now, of course, not my cup of tea, not my favourite band, not someone I've ever seen live, but I've known Andy for a very, very, very long time. He's one of the hardest working and most talented guitar players I've ever met. He's immensely melodic, he's immensely technically gifted, and he's super driven. And it makes me happy to see my friend getting the recognition that he absolutely deserves, because this will be, as kind of mercenary-like as it will sound, this is a big payday for him, and he deserves it. He's a hard-working professional, and whether you like Five Finger Death Punch or not, Andy is going to be exposed to an entirely new audience of people now who will probably go on and buy some of his solo albums and all of his transcriptions, which of course I do, so they're good. This is a great
nothing like blowing your own trumpet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's come on, this show's got to be about us, really, hasn't it? Buy our t-shirts.
I know. Buy your Duke.
Yeah.
We are Kiss for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy posted this announcement, and he said, and the new Five Finger Death Punch video will be dropping tomorrow. Now again, a new Five Finger Death Punch.
He's not in the video though, is he?
No, he's not. He's not in the video. This will have been done a long time before he joined the band.
I thought that.
Yeah. So yeah, Living the Dream, the new Five Finger Death Punch song. I knew I was going to have to watch this video because, to be honest, I was hoping that Andy was going to be in it. It'd be nice to see my friend in a massive metal band doing his thing. But he's not in the video. It got posted on my Discord server, and someone was like, "So what's your opinion on the new Five Finger Death Punch video?" And I was like, "Good point. I need to go and watch that." And I have to say, it's not for me, both musically and video-wise. But the issue is that, of course, this is now blown up. They're being labelled as anti-mask, and I can absolutely see why many people might make that assessment. Because if we were to summarise this video for this song, I would say there are a lot of in-jokes in there. There's zombies wheeling their toilet roll, which of course is definitely a satirical statement. There are teens sitting and contemplating eating Tide Pods, which of course reference to the years, or I guess best over a year ago now, but the youth. And then this idea of people putting on masks, being praised for putting on their masks by some sort of official, and the official is exempt from all of the things that are being placed on them. And then essentially seeing the officials wandering around doing their things, they're exempt from all the rules that everybody else is exempt to, and then eventually everybody rising up, taking off their masks, and this is the controversial part, of course, taking off their masks in order to stand up to the hypocrisy of people that aren't wearing masks and that are claiming that they're, we make the rules, we're exempt from the rules type thing. As you know, maybe a little bit politically charged of me. Not really. If I was Five Finger Death Punch, probably not the video I would have made. But I admire that they made it. Well done. I thought it was pretty ham-fisted and open to lots of forms of interpretation. So,
of course it is.
What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe I was also quick to knee-jerk on it and think it was anti-mask. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but they certainly don't paint it in any other context to not really look that way.
Agree.
As you say, ham-fisted.
Yeah.
I've not watched the video, I've just seen the stills, especially the exempt and the compliant and the... I get that it's potentially satire, but the People's Republic of America with the hammers and sickles and city stars and... Come on.
Yeah, it's
Come
really...
on.
It's poorly
gaudy.
done. Yeah, I do feel it is really, really poorly done. And we're going to go into Zoltan Bathory's response and kind of justifying their position a little bit. But I don't want to read that right of response as a kind of exonerating them for the monstrosity that this video is. It is bad. It is legitimately bad, because it doesn't matter if you're making a widely held satirical point that we could all get on board with, right? To me, that doesn't matter. What matters is that it's so easily open to misinterpretation. And it has been, I don't even want to say misinterpreted, okay? It has been interpreted by people. And when you have a message that can be interpreted and then potentially viewed as a dangerous message to put across, that's probably going to be quite a negative thing to do. Worth considering, calling a band like Five Finger Death Punch anti-mask, despite the fact they sell masks on their website, they have their own branded masks, does seem a little bit strange. That did strike me as odd. I just think it's probably a very, very poor interpretation of what's going on. But
that's fair.
Why don't you read Zoltan's response for us?
I will. So, as much as some news sites used anti-mask as a clickbait title, and I must applaud the capitalist in them, or I myself would be a hypocrite, let's make this crystal clear. In a fictional story, amongst shopping cart zombies, Tide Pod eating fat superheroes, and all the other metaphors, why would anyone think the mask scene isn't one? Isn't one what?
A satirical
metaphor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just bad syntax. Anyway,
Sure.
The mask segments are about hypocrisy on the highest level, when the rules are made for you, but those who made them are exempt. Pretty much the standard in all dictatorships and totalitarian regimes. I had the displeasure of growing up in one, hence the reference. Now this, to me, is a valid complaint about the stuff that's going on with COVID.
Yeah.
Genuinely, and we're not getting political, but there are exemptions granted by Westminster for MPs themselves, which include their subsidised bar didn't have to close at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
They don't have to wear masks.
Yeah.
If they are going fox hunting, they can be up to 20 people in a crowd, when it used to be the rule of 6 for 2 households. So, fair enough. I can see where that's coming from.
Yep.
So let me continue what Zoltan says.
Sure.
So no, the scene in question is not about the masks. It's not an anti-mask message. In fact, you can go to fivefingerdeathpunch.com right now and buy some cool ones. Buy your t-shirts instead.
I totally agree.
But or an Ormsby. Just as I prefaced it, we as artists have a unique opportunity to portray and ridicule the absurd to prevent it from becoming reality. If I must explain this, in the wee shruggy face emoji, the whole video is in the framework of fiction, a dystopian nightmare of one of the founding fathers right before he signs the Constitution.
And that is shown at the end, like one of the founding fathers wakes up from the dream. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Maybe you didn't make it quite far-fetched enough that people didn't get the satire or the political commentary of this.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the problem here is. And to continue what Zoltan says, I often say, ask us, the immigrants, the Cubans, the Venezuelans, the North Koreans, anyone from former Soviet bloc, talk to us and we will tell you, we were lucky because we had a place to escape to. We're fortunate that we could have come here. But if America is going, where will you go? Europe might have something to say about that.
Sounds a bit dramatic.
Just a wee bit. Like, America's not the only place that people run away to.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about the Eastern Bloc.
Sure.
Most of those people went into Europe,
Yeah.
the neighbouring countries to the countries they stayed in, where they run into and claimed asylum.
Yeah.
Anyway, we immigrants also remember how our freedom slipped away, how our rights were ripped from us, how we were kept under the thumb and in fear of our own governments. So maybe, just maybe, we have valuable experience we can tell you about, we can forewarn you of the things we have seen before. So we the people must do everything in our power to stay free as a society. We must prevent the rise of tyranny in all shapes and forms. We must resist the would-be dictators and the totalitarian ideals. This is what the Founding Fathers worried about and tried to prevent by creating the Constitution. Believe it. America is a miracle, and I love this country, and I will never shut up about it. Anyway, not anti-mask, and if you reduce this entire video to that scene and miss the metaphor behind it, well, the good news is, it's still America, so you have the right to have and even print your own opinion. Fair enough. I like is we the people must do everything in our power. Right, cool. If you're a gun owner then, Zoltan, I expect you to be marching onto the Capitol Hill. No, wait a wee minute. He's talking about founding fathers and the Constitution.
And he's even used the phrase we the people. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And he's talking about preventing the rise of tyranny in all shapes and forms, dictators and totalitarian ideals. Right, no bother. That's fine. So you own a weapon. I'm assuming you own a weapon. If you follow the Fifth Amendment, then you should be using that weapon to bring down the government as is at the moment, because there's a lot of things happening that would be considered totalitarian. Mm-hmm. So I get your point, but be careful of what you're saying if you don't want to be held to that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And really, like, the thing I would take away from this, or the thing I'm constantly putting, is like, see the mess, Zoltan, that you found yourself in because of this need to be super political. I don't think of...
Oh, wait a wee minute. Are you hinting at me here?
No, totally not. Totally not.
So is this you trying to get some foreshadowing on the go? Mike likes to talk about politics, so he's going to get fucking attacked when he releases a political fucking video.
A political party kind of album. Like
that'll never happen.
Everyone has their political ideas, and I'm all for that. But what I'm really not for is the kind of splitting of society into us versus them. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. I dealt with an idiot, arguing with an idiot over this very fucking thing, knowing that I was going to be making a podcast, calling the band fucking idiots for making this, and saying it was a poorly fucking thought out video with like a really unclear message. Whether or not I agree with, whether or not I support the message that you're trying to claim it is like, or even if I believe that the message you're trying to claim it is, if this is just some sort of ridiculous cover, like none of that fucking matters because it didn't have to happen. Splitting everybody into an us versus them scenario is not a fucking smart thing to do because
you're right.
The inevitable conclusion of that is civil war.
You're right, and I think we're actually on the cusp of civil war, and I think that here's how it stands in my mind, right? There's always going to be divides between groups, classes, ideologies within society. Ignore everything and just think about class. Think about where you fit in terms of the economy and what you believe in and what you're answering to. I'm not saying that we should overthrow the rich. I'm not saying we should eat them. I'm not saying we should throw them into the sun in a giant trebuchet. But maybe they should pay their taxes. Maybe there should be accountability at the top of the ladder rather than just the bottom.
Yeah.
And maybe people should stop thinking that earning 35 grand a year means that you're in the top tier of getting extra tax. We're talking about fucking millionaires and billionaires here. Fanny, you that's driving about in a Range Rover Evoque on tick, which means on loan, doesn't make you rich. So stop being fannies and think about how many wages would you need to miss before you are genuinely in the shit? 1, 2, 10, 12. People like... I mean, he's the best example and the easiest example because he's low-hanging fruit in terms of just being so rich. Jeff Bezos,
sure.
A guy that doesn't have to worry about parking tickets, just left his car while his house had been renovated for about like 6 weeks or something, and just paid it in the winter.
Yeah.
People like Dominic Cummings who have had their fucking council tax bills forgotten or forgiven or whatever the fuck they want to use as terminology. A guy who was allowed to sit in the gardens of the fucking Prime Minister's house and just tell the public, I don't give a fuck that I didn't follow the coronavirus rules.
Yeah.
You got me going political, see what you've done. Anyway, but everything else doesn't matter.
You're
protect each other.
You're doing it from a place of compassion, which is good.
I'm trying to not be divisive. What I'm trying to say is think of class consciousness, think of being your brother's keeper, look after each other. It's the best thing you can do. That for lockdown, that's what I've got. The amount of people who've reached out to me and that supposedly I've helped, which I really love, to be honest, even through this and whatever else. You and I have been through tough times recently. We've been there for each other, shit like that. Like it's nice in a time where it's really hard to socialise to remember the importance of community. Yep. For me, at least. Yep. And I'm going to try and fight that.
Well, you're trying to foster community, which is really, I think, at the core of like what. It's not that I'm not political. It's like one of the main podcasting things that I do listen to is Colin's Last Stand, which is a Colin Moriarty's podcasting, and he's old school conservative, not Trump supporting conservative, but had always been a Republican and left the party over the Trump thing. And he's been lambasted in the video game industry for being a conservative because it's a very liberal industry. But the whole point of that community is there is no litmus test for whether or not you can be part of the community. And whereas other communities will say, if you're voting for Trump, you're not welcome in our community type thing. Like, I don't ever want this podcast and our fans to feel like that you have to think a certain way to be part of this. Like, we are a community regardless of your views, and we should ultimately, in the long run, be looking to come together as one rather than booting people out that have different views. Because, again, to repeat the idea that I ranted at this fucking guy, that this open, as he described himself, the reason he took such issue with this is communists were being painted as bad. And as a communist, I'm like, motherfucker, you don't get to live in a capitalist society and say that you are a communist. You can like communist ideals, but the way that you're dealing with people, the way that you're trying to split everybody into us versus them, all you want to do is boot away people that don't have the same ideas of you as you. And then in your perfect utopia, you will create this communist state. And then what happens to all of the people that you booted out that don't want to divide up their wealth? The only way you deal with people like that is to take their wealth from them by force. And that is not that is not how you create a functioning society.
It's not. You're
that
right.
is time and time again how communism goes bad.
Right.
Forcing people to participate when they don't want to.
Right, but before you and I start a revolution, right, just taking it a step back to what you were talking about as well, right, and like we don't want to alienate anyone.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because here's a good example. Very often I say fuck the Tories, right? That doesn't mean necessarily that I hate every single Tory or every single Tory voter. I hate what the party's ideological standpoints are in terms of how the way that it's evident in Scotland. So I'm not saying this is fact, this is my opinion, right? The way it's evident in Scotland, in my mind, that there is a complete misunderstanding or a complete breakdown between what's said and what's done. You're going to have this, we're going to do this, and then it's always the opposite, right? But one of the listeners, Mark Loveridge, he reaches out all the time, and at one point he was saying to me, like, oh, do you hate me because I vote Tory or whatever? And I was like, no, I don't hate anybody. Like, I mean, I do hate people. I hate Boris Johnson. I hate fucking Jacob Rees-Mogg, but not because they're Conservatives necessarily, but they are the representatives of the Conservative Party, and I hate them because they are terrible humans.
Yeah.
Because they are vastly inhuman. They are just completely void of compassion and empathy and understanding other people's struggles.
Yeah.
If you've got a different political view to me and you want to have a conversation, let's do it. I'm so down. Totally happy, as long as I'm not fucking busy, and I promise if you send me a message and I'll try and get back to you, but I'm a nightmare for it. Even people that I love, I struggle to get back to at times. But everybody's welcome here. You're right, this is a fostering community, right? We're talking about fucking guitars, we're here just guitars, talking shit, ranting about idiots, ranting about music business, kidding on we're lawyers when we know we're not.
Yeah. And we want people to think we're idiots, I would hope. Like, I mean, I'm a fucking idiot. If we say things that you disagree with, fucking tell us. And when we fight you on it, like, again, don't be upset because you're fighting us on our ideas and we'll fight you on yours. Eddie Van Halen's much more important to the guitar scene than Hendrix was. Fight me. I'm going to take absolutely no fucking issue with that one.
You are starting a fucking riot here, son.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with you, but that's because I prefer listening to Van Halen than Hendrix. Yeah. But I think it's generational as well, to go back to what I was saying about we're talking about David Crosby.
Dave Crosby, yeah.
Dave Crosby. Crosby, Stills and Nash in my head, and I was like, fuck, what one of them is it? Shocking, innit?
Yeah.
I was only looking at it 10 minutes ago. Anyway, yes, everybody's welcome. We love you all. All conversations are welcome. Every creed, kind, political view, gender, height, weight, shape, breed. We allow dogs and cats.
Of course. Dogs are very welcome. In fact, dogs are encouraged.
Yes. Strictly enforced. You must have a dog to join our party.
Yeah, good. So
anyway,
I hope everybody that's listening to that has learned something about being welcome in our community. But if you're already still here, you probably already know that. So allow me to inform you of something else. This show has been brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. If you have the time, please do head on over and follow them on Instagram to see more of their incredible work. I'm actually spending more and more of my time each day scrolling through Instagram and really getting the appeal of looking at incredible instruments like this. It just makes you want to order something really, really special. Of course, you can always contact them if you want to order a custom shop guitar, or head on over to their website, check out the pre-order section and get involved on the upcoming Goliath Run 14. Again, one of these guitars can be pre-ordered for as little as $1,200 US. That's an incredible price. That's a lot of guitar for very little money. So if you want something like this in your life, head on over to ormsbyguitars.com and get involved. Thanks so much to Ormsby, and we'll see you for another show soon. Laters. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast comes to an end. Thank you very much to our friends over at Ormsby Guitars for your love, kindness, and support. Thank you guys for listening to the show. And if you have enjoyed it, go check Ormsby out and check out our Teespring link in the description because, of course, that's a big help. And yeah, thank you for being awesome people. Mike, any closing messages for the wonderful people?
I think you've pretty much covered everything. Thanks once again for supporting our narcissism. We really appreciate it, and I'm not joking. It's nice to feel important, even if you can't see the people who are supporting you, which is really nice. And that's not me being facetious or a smart arse. It's really cool. I really enjoy when people reach out to me. If you reach out to me and I don't answer you, it's not out of ignorance, as Levi has told me multiple times. He's had messages for people saying, I sent Mike a message, but he's not seen it. It's because I have an other folder that everyone goes into. I'm sure you're the same if you have Facebook Messenger. And I never get any notifications. I mean, at the moment, my Messenger won't even give me notifications when I've got messages. So I'm having to go in and manually check it, and it's like 6 chats, 700 messages. Like, no, goodbye, delete. But anyway, we love you all. Thanks very much. If you can support us, we would really appreciate it. There's some nice stuff on the Teespring. I know there's a few guys out there that have bought some stuff. And gals, we are completely open to everyone being part of our community, as we were talking about. And
I'd even argue that I'm not happy with how much of a sausage fest our community is. Like, let's get the ladies in.
Aye, that'd be good. Not because we need to meet like an equality diversity quota, it's because we just want people who are actually interested to come and join in.
But I guess from another perspective, I would find it interesting if the reason, like if it was something that we were doing was the reason we don't appeal to more women. You know what I mean? Like if there's a reason that we're off-putting, I guess that would be interesting to me.
There's a Party Cannon song called There's a Reason You're Single, which is great. Anyway, that's fine. We can end it on that. Put this to all our listeners and everybody that watches on YouTube. Come along, leave comments. Even if you need to leave comments on the Facebook, that's absolutely fine. We'll get up to them. Give us, if you are a male listener and you think there's a reason why we don't have female listeners coming on or coming on board and joining us, tell us. If you're a female listener who thinks there's reasons why other women aren't getting involved, tell us.
So essentially, why don't women like us?
Women like me, it's you.
We're nice guys. Mike, until next time.
Stay hydrated.
I hate you. I just hate you. Go away. Leave me alone.
Sorry.